Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the Mental Wellness Summit. My name is Candace Gottschall, and I will be helping to facilitate some of your sessions today. I would like to start by acknowledging and thanking the Tonquitchon Council and Kwalindun First Nation for hosting us on their traditional territories. Joining us today, we have Elder Diane Smith of Kwalindun First Nation, who will be starting our day with an opening prayer. Thank you for joining us, Diane.
Thank you for the invite. Creator of all creations, today is a funeral of a very beautiful Tonquitchon woman. Creator, touch the hearts of this family for strength for this day. The grandmother, the mother, father, sisters, brothers, and extended family. Creator, the many youth that we have lost in our beautiful home here in Whitehorse, Yukon. Many are mourning for the youth that left us due to the drug world and COVID-19 impact. Creator, what is it that the leaders of all government staff can put in place, the words that will guide us to assist many that live with mental illness? Words are powerful. Words can be either helpful or destroy a person. Words in a policy are very powerful. First Nations throughout the world has affected by a few words in the policy, the Indian residential school. Many thousands of families have lived in pain. Their secrets becomes mental illness. What are the steps to help many that live with the 7 common types of mental illness disorders? Creator, guide us with the thought. Creator, guide us with our thoughts to find little miracles to show we are guided by you. Today, give thanks to all government, leaders, staff, workers to come together for the Mental Wellness Summit to find solutions, to find a way to help in all areas of mental illness. Through our dreams, visions, we will be guided by your hand to come up with words, action to help all that walk in the world of mental illness. We give thanks for the elders that walk amongst us, for they are the teachers, knowledge, story, history keepers. We give thanks for the young ones that run amongst us, for one day they will carry on the work that we leave behind. We give thanks, Creator, for Mother Earth, for she provides us all we need in life. Creator, hope, belonging, meaning, and purpose. Creator of all creation, we give thanks for this day. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. And now a few words from the Honorable Tracy Ann McPhee, Minister of Health and Social Services.
Thanks so much, Candace. And thank you very kindly to Elder Diane Smith for such a beautiful prayer. To start us in such a good way. I truly believe that words are so critical to the work that we do together. Thank you. I would like to acknowledge that we are hosting this summit on the traditional territories and from the traditional territories of the Kwalindun First Nation and Tonquitchon Council. Welcome to everyone again today on day 2 of this exciting opportunity. I really want to thank everyone for joining us today on the second day of the Mental Wellness Summit. Hundreds of Yukoners and many attendees from across the country have joined us for these really important discussions. I think everyone will be interested to know that yesterday we had 518 registrants. So in a way, the idea of having to have this phase 1 of the summit virtual, which was a challenge initially, has really allowed us to reach so many more people through this process. We had over 1,700 unique session views yesterday. And as we've said before, the sessions that have been shown yesterday and will be shown today are being recorded, and people can go back and watch them. I know, like many of you out there watching this yesterday and today, you wanted to be in 2 places at once, and I assure you that we'll be able to go back and watch the other sessions, which we're excited to present. I really want to thank all of the presenters who have shared their stories and their perspectives and the programs and the ideas with us yesterday. The presentations and the conversations that they generated, which is really the goal, were both informative and really truly inspiring. Our goal with this summit is to share ideas and to spark a conversation and action. It is a step, a really important step with the ongoing mental wellness response to Yukon's substance use health emergency. I just want to take a second to talk about the substance use health emergency. We were really very careful in choosing the name of Yukon substance use health emergency. We wanted to make sure that people understood that we were trying to tackle a health matter, truly a health emergency. And it is important that we shift the public understanding from what may be considered sometimes a criminal matter, a justice issue, all of which is to say it's a health emergency. We also wanted to make sure that substance use, which is a broad term, was chosen to encompass things like drug use, whether they be prescription or illicit drugs, to encompass things like opioid use, alcohol use, to encompass overdoses and accidental deaths and suicides. They are all substance use related and they are all health emergency related. It was an important opportunity for us to start to use that language, as Elder Smith has said. Words are so important, and the opportunity to make sure that we chose something that would take us well into the future, a title and a concept that we could talk about together, a title and a concept and a process that would focus on harm reduction. It would have a harm reduction approach. It would bring a lens of compassion. It would ask us all to listen without judgment. And I know that's something you'll hear about later today when we hear from Gary Bailie, who is bringing us his story and his perspective in such a brave way. Yesterday and today, presenters have spoken about and focused on concepts of prevention, on concepts of treatment, support services, concepts of aftercare, and how communities can be reaching out to be inclusive and caring. We do and we must realize that we can do this better together. All of those ideas and the focus of trying to bring together the presenters that we have and many, many more that we will want to hear from in the future has been an important focus of the work that we wanted to do here. Many of you that are listening today and many of you that work in this area do bring that focus of harm reduction and a lens of compassion, but others need to hear that this is the route that we will be taking together. I hope that many folks who have signed on to listen to this parts of this presentation, whether it be all day today and yesterday or parts of it, will be inspired and will be changed or may have their thinking changed about how we can work together to address the substance use health emergency and the difficulties that our community has in this area. We want to work in a more coordinated way with our community, and that is the broadest community in the broadest sense of the word. I think we heard Minister Haiju say yesterday, there is no magic solution, but this is an exercise in building trust. And if we all come with open hearts and the energy to truly affect change, I know that we can move forward together. Know that we can treat those in our community who are struggling with the compassion that they deserve. I know that we can remember each and every one of their lives as being important not only to their friends and family, but being important as a way, as an aspect of our greater community. Our community is made up of every one of us, and every one of us has a role to play in resolving these issues, in treating people with kindness. Whether you work in an NGO where you're focusing on providing treatment or services to people who are street involved, or whether you're just passing someone on the street and give them a smile and a kind word. Every one of us has a role to play in working towards a better response and harm reduction, and a better, stronger, healthier community, which is our goal. It's always been the goal of our government, and it's certainly the goal with respect to the declaration of a substance use health emergency and a coordinated response. I want to thank everybody who has taken the time to be a presenter here in the last day and a half, and will continue to be the presenters here today. I want to thank everyone in leadership who has come to the table with open hands and an open heart in the past number of weeks and said, what can we do to work together to resolve these issues, to come up with solutions and ideas. This is a situation, a substance use health emergency that will be with us for a very long time. We have a history in the Yukon territory of extensive drug use, illicit and otherwise, as well as alcohol use. And this is not something that's going to be resolved in a number of months or even years. We will focus going forward on shifting the conversation to how can we do this better? How can we provide services for people? And how can we work together as a community for success? There will be focus groups later from stemming from this particular phase one of the Mental Wellness Summit, which will be an exciting opportunity for some continuing conversations. And we hope to have an in-person event once we can gather again later in the year. But I have to say, I'm very pleased with the success so far and the interest that individuals have shown by taking the time to log on, to watch the presenters, and to provide feedback and ideas. And hopefully we're all being inspired. We will share the feedback from this summit in the coming days. And I'd like to remind everyone that the summit presentations will be available later for you to look at again or to watch ones that you haven't seen. I'll stop there today. I wanted to set the stage and tell you from our perspective how important we believe this initiative is, and the coming together of community and leadership, and excited to have the opportunity to hear from more presenters today and hear feedback from everyone. So thank you so much for the opportunity to say this morning, and to really convey what we hope will be the success, continued success of the Mental Wellness Summit. Thank you so much. Thank you, Candace.
Thank you so much, Minister. And now we have a few words from Dr. Brendan Hanley, Member of Parliament for the Yukon.
Thank you, Candace, and hello, everyone. It's such an honor to be included at the opening of this summit for the second day of the summit, and I really hope everyone had a productive first day. And like Minister Haidu said yesterday morning, I too really like that this summit is about mental wellness. But at the same time, the harsh reality is that opioid deaths require an immediate focus and an emergency response. And this is an issue when we look at the larger spectrum of substance use that the minister wisely included in the declaration of an emergency. This is an issue that will require continued focus for weeks, months, and years ahead of us. And I'm so pleased also to see speakers like Tosh Southwick, who talked about the incredible importance of supporting and augmenting cultural connectedness. I think it's incredible to see people stepping up, not just the impressive numbers of you who have showed up to participate in this summit, but I think of the community-based efforts that have been going on and that have been recently stepped up. The Carcross Tagish First Nation with going door to door, taking the crisis into their own hands, with Chief Bill's leadership for Kwalendun First Nation and her announcement of that 500,000 commitment to treatment and supports. Certainly many communities calling out for urgent action, but also acting as we speak. And I think that recognition of trauma as underlying addictions and overdoses is so important, and the recognition that addiction is it's a complicated thing. Every person's experience, every person's journey is unique, and not everyone can or is ready to recover. The main goal often is life stability, maintenance, support, and then hopefully treatment at some point that person is ready. As you know, as Yukon's Chief Medical Officer previously, I had a deep involvement with this crisis since long before 2016. And in fact, in 2015, a report that I authored, our health status report of that year, was dedicated to substance use, recognizing the spectrum of the problem and the spectrum of interventions that we need. So this opioid crisis did not come out of the blue so much as building on pre-existing conditions and pre-existing problems. And of course, we all know that this crisis that really started to take off in 2016 has been exacerbated by pandemic stresses, both from the stress of living through a pandemic, but also the uncertainty of a pandemic and dealing with the restrictions that we've had to put in place. I'm really delighted to see yesterday that Dr. Thorisdottir from Planet Youth was invited. I can't wait. I was not able to make that session, but I can't wait to see the recording and the response. That program is a personal favorite of mine that I've long championed in my former role, as I see enormous potential for adapting Iceland's success to Yukon with how they addressed addiction, particularly amongst youth in Iceland over a long period of time, to bring it from the highest to the lowest in Iceland. So I encourage everyone to look at that and learn from what we can from that particular presentation. There are many other stellar discussions and presentations from what I've heard, and I'm looking forward to more today, and I'll certainly take in as much as I can today. I think that that presentation, though, speaks to how we cannot forget prevention, even as we focus on more of the emergency response. As we deliberate and mobilize emergency interventions, we need to be thinking of mental wellness in a holistic way. How can we do better at keeping people well and healthy and away from destructive addictions? So that's mental health. It's recognizing and treating and preventing that trauma. It's about child health. It's about parenting support. It's about housing. It's about social supports. And so wherever we're on that spectrum, as we think these through, from prevention to maintenance to treatment, recovery, making sure that for each person's journey, we're equipping people to be safe and to be autonomous and independent and safe. That means a safe place to call home. It means access to good, reliable information. It means a safe drug supply if that's what is needed for that person. It means safe conditions for using drugs, supervision, buddies, support. It means access to treatment, healing, access to land-based or culturally focused, culturally appropriate treatment, and really supporting those cultural connections that we all need. And just finally, a bit of a waving of the flag for the Community Officer Safety Program, how successful that has been. particularly when it started with the Kwalendon First Nation, but as it's being now developed in other communities. This is a real Yukon success story that I think deserves to be recognized and adopted. I think around the country, recognizing that we are in a national crisis of which Yukon is bearing a heavy burden right now. So all options should be on the table. I was delighted to be able to lead and participate in the Take Note debate last week in the House of Commons to really bring focus to this as a national crisis that needs national solutions, locally applied and community-based. Decriminalization should be among those options that we talk about, and I hope that's getting robust attention and discussion today. I certainly look forward to hearing what Yukoners have to say and how the wisdom and input of Yukoners will inform our path forward, not just for Yukon, but for Canada. And there's nothing more important right now for our territory than this forum. So I will leave it there. Very pleased to be invited to be part of this, and best with today's journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hanley, and thank you, Minister McPhee and Elder Diane Smith, for getting our day off on that start. Before we head into our first session, we just have a few reminders for everybody heading into the day. At the end of each of your sessions, there will be an opportunity for question and answer. However, we are a little bit limited on time today, so please know that your questions are important to us. If we don't get all of your questions answered in those sessions, there will be an opportunity for us to send those to the presenters and have them answer them in written form and made available to you afterwards. You will see also within each session, we have a short poll specific to that presentation. We would love for you to fill these out just so we can best understand your needs and those of your organization. And then additionally, on the main menu today, you will find an overall evaluation form for the entire summit. We ask that you please fill this out when you have time so we can continue to strengthen our events and bring our audience more value. And then lastly, before we get into our day, I just want to remind everyone that today will feature some very heavy topics and conversations. Some of these topics may be triggering. If you find you are struggling today, or if you need someone to talk to, please go to the Get Help tab on the event website for a list of our available resources. And I want to thank you all again for joining us today. We now have Cameron Grandy here to introduce our first session of the day.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining this session. My name's Cameron Grandy, and I'm here to introduce our next speaker. We have a slightly different format for this sharing than some of the other ones, and I'm with Gary Bailie, who's here to share with us today. Gary is a born Yukoner and a member of the Kwalendon First Nation. I first met Gary around 13 years ago after moving to the territory, and I'm not a rock musician. So if I'm not a rock musician, those of you who know Gary know that I met him through cross-country skiing. Music and skiing are two of Gary's passions. And those of you who know Gary know that Gary is not selfish about his passions. He shares them with youth, he shares them with children, and he shares them with his community. In fact, this sharing has been acknowledged with both the Governor General's Caring Canadian Award and a Governor General's Meritorious Service Award. He's here today to share with us again for the sake of his community. And I quote from Gary, "If I can utilize my daughter's life as a catalyst for some positive change, then I am going to." So Gary and I have decided to do this as a conversation together. And I just want to say, Gary, that I'm extremely humbled to share this space with you today.
Yeah, well, thanks. I'm also very honored to be here as well and have the opportunity to speak. I found that through what I've experienced that that speaking about things has really helped me to work through all of this. I totally respect everybody's right to privacy and to grieve in their own way. It's different for everybody, and my heart really goes out to all the other families now that have really suffered loss to this current opioid crisis.
So, Gary, we sort of decided to ask a couple questions around this, and I want people to know that Gary's very much driving the bus on these questions, but I'm just here to be a part of it. So
Yeah.
Thank you. So Gary, you're here today to tell us about a loved one and about their struggles. Do you want to start by telling us a bit about who you're here to speak about?
Yeah, it's my daughter, Stacy Loren Bailie. We lost her October 22nd to an opioid overdose, and it was rather sudden because, you know, her primary addiction that she had struggled with for years was primarily alcohol, and of course there's always drugs involved with that as well, but you know, she wanted to be well, and but then with the opioid stuff, I sort of caught on that she was starting to use it, and then I spoke with her on a few occasions just to caution her and ask her please not to use. It's dangerous. You know, we love you. We don't want to lose you, but you know, these things happen, right? You know, in spite of the warnings and in spite of the information that we give them, like people continue to use. You know, you'd think that it would scare them off, because I know the thought of it scares me, but I think people really need to understand, like, really how addictive this stuff is, you know, and it takes you to a place where you feel no pain, physical, emotional. It just puts you in that place where you know, you don't have to feel anything, and I can understand it, right? You know, we tried to, you know, to get her into treatment. Actually, she was set up for treatment at Kwantlen First Nation. I'd like to commend them for, you know, really making an effort to you know, to try and deal with this whole situation. You know, I networked so much, like I checked on her every day. I knew something like this was a possibility. I lived under constant stress because of it, which really took its toll on my own personal health. Feeling better these days, but you know, it's a process, right? I just really wanted to utilize my daughter's life as a catalyst for positive change by participating and speaking out about addiction and getting the dialogue going. So my thoughts really, from what I've experienced, addiction is a symptom. You know, it's the underlying trauma that these people experience that basically drives that addiction. And if there's a way that we could to get through to people to express themselves somehow, to try and get this out to people that they trust, and counselors or family or whomever, that they can start to work on finding healthier ways to cope with addiction. I know I do the Blue Feather Music Festival every year, and that was Blue Feather is a symbol of hope, by the way, for those that don't know. This is our 22nd year of doing it, and it started out as a way to advocate for suicide prevention. It's like Stacy's mother took her own life in 1999, a really unfortunate incident, and it profoundly impacted me and her. And I realized that was her trauma. Like, losing her mom was, she just never got over it. But anyways, I realized that, you know, when people hold emotion inside for so long that they just feel like just can't take it anymore. So through music and the arts, we promote, you know, we promote them as healing and creative tools that people can use to hopefully express themselves, whether it be through, if you can't talk about it, maybe you could write a song or play music, or maybe you can you know, you can carve, or you can do, you know, you can do painting, you can do, like, there's a whole scope of arts that people could do. And I think that human beings we are creative beings, and I think that we feel good about ourselves when we are creative. And so we've, you know, plus we mentor youth, because I really have affinity for youth, because this is where everything begins, is with them. And you know, like I say, we've mentored them through the years, through Blue Feather Music Festival, and we have numerous success stories. And I think that's what we need more in our communities. We need more heroes, more people to stand up and to really go for it and follow their dreams. And we need to hear more success stories, right? We need to hear stories that are going to uplift us, and to not always, you know, knock us down, you know. And then otherwise, I coach the Quanland Coyote Ski Club, which I've done also for a long time. And my history in cross-country skiing goes back to the days of Father Mouche, whom I owe an extreme debt of gratitude for, you know, what he taught me, and what I learned along the way, just through being a disciplined cross-country skier. You know, when I wanted to teach my daughter how to ski, she wanted to bring all of her friends, right? So really, the Quanland Coyotes is her legacy. I just kept it going year after year, and all those kids really inspired me, particularly, you know, my daughter, but just, it was always about her friends. Even all through her life, she cared about everybody. So originally I spoke on CBC after this happened, and I just said, you know, this is my trauma. I'm not reaching for the bottle. I'm not reaching for some drugs to try and numb myself out to deal with this. I grabbed my skis and I walked into the forest and I went skiing. And it's been the one thing that getting out on the land has been the biggest healer of all. And I can't say enough about land-based treatment. I just think people's lifestyles to get out there every day, just in nature, whether it's a walk along the river and to sit on the bench, or go into the forest, it'll do wonders for you. And that is a healthier way of coping with things. But, you know, when you get people who are, you know, struggling with addictions, or with, you know, substance abuse or mental health for that matter, they're all connected. You know, a lot of times it's just not that easy, right? They need help. They need people to come and walk with them, and to come and get them, and to check on them. And so I really feel that, you know, outreach is really important. And just as a person, as a member of this community, I think that I speak to all members of the community, that there are things that we can all do that will collectively make a huge difference. And that's to really, number one, try and be a little less judgmental about people that struggle and then with addiction. You know, they didn't choose that, you know, and to try and take the shame away from that. You know, it's nothing to be ashamed of. You know, people struggle and they're trying to find their way, and help is not always easy to find, and what works for some doesn't work for others, you know. And then also to just check up on each other, you know, like, and to be kind. Like, I mean, it's so much easier to be kind, and I see it so often that people are just, you know, the lateral violence and how people treat one another is really, really hurtful. But the most part, like, I really encourage people to just to try and think about it, right? And we all know somebody, right? You know, and my daughter's not the first one that I've lost. I mean, she was probably the nearest and the dearest, but, you know, I lost my brother, Darcy Bailie, to a cocaine overdose back in 1994. And that was, once again, was a real blow to me and to our family. And he was very well known here as well. And losing my wife and my daughter's mother to addiction and suicide. You know, a lot of this stuff, you know, stems through what has happened in our lives, and the intergenerational trauma that flows through people's lives, you know, from generations past, and how it comes through. And it gets to the point where you know, we have to recognize it and make an attempt to stop it. You know, I'm in a position now where I have my granddaughter, Essence, who's Stassidy's girl. She's been with me all through all of this, and she's like my last chance to break the cycle. So I'm basically dedicating my life to raising her in a good, healthy way, and to try and get her to, be a caring individual and to pursue healthy lifestyles, and just try and treat her life as a gift, and also pursue what dreams she may have, right? So just to be there to listen and to support her along the way. So that's why kind of what I have to say really is, we're not totally helpless. I know a lot of people are really, I'm not sure what to do, because it is a helpless feeling, but there are things we can do. And just talking about it is to start with. Having this dialogue is a great place to start. And we're all in this together. This is not a race thing. This is like, this crosses like all lines, like from all nationalities, all people from all walks of life, right from the street people right up to a lot of like professional people who manage to conceal their addiction, quite successfully. But not here to judge anybody. Just I've seen a lot and through my years, and I'm hoping that I could make a positive contribution to finding some solutions. And I know there's no just one answer to this. This is a many layered thing, and I really look forward to being part of this whole exercise.
Thanks, Gary. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
It's just the word hope came up a lot there, and I didn't know until you told me last week that the blue feather was a symbol for it, or means.
Yeah, it is a symbol of hope. Yeah.
And I think maybe part of this summit too is to generate some hope around some programs. But do you have any, like, as a community member, as somebody with your wealth of experience, any suggestions for, like, if you had the magic wand or could make new programs or supports, or and you spoke a bit about it, like whether it was outreach or whether, and you spoke a lot about the non-judgmental piece, but is there something that is you'd like to see change or exist in your community, in your territory with your?
Yeah, I mean, I would just like to see people doing healthier things together, right? I know COVID has had a huge impact because, number one, there's the isolation that it creates, and number two, a lot of things get shut down, right? Cross-country skiing, never really felt that so much because we have a COVID plan, and when we go into the wax skis and to put the boots on and get ready, we do it a few at a time. We have the all the COVID protocol in place, but once you get out on the trail, there's no COVID in the bush, right? And it's really a mental health piece where we're getting out there and breathing fresh oxygen and being out there in the land. I know myself, I'm a spiritual person. I feel close to the Creator, who inspires me. Feel close to my ancestors, who all the people that have left before me. Feel like I represent them. I feel strength from that, right? And I think that all people feel good when they go out there, and no matter what they want to call it, I think that some things like that you can do individually or you can do collectively together. I know the White Horse Ski Club, their trails that join onto the Quallen Coyote ski trails, and they've had like record number of people out there, and everybody you see is like smiling, happy, and that's a really great thing. I just think that we really need to try and connect with the land a lot more. The Quallen Coyotes slogan has been since day one, 1999 when I started, is back to the land. So it was about reconnecting with the land and just being out there. And we live in the Yukon, which is just, we're surrounded by it. It just seems like it's a paradise for not only skiing, cross-country skiing, but snowshoeing, and kick sledding is really great. It's sort of a new thing that's really catching on. Fat biking, mountain biking, canoeing, kayaking, hiking. I mean, the list goes on and on. Okay, so I think by getting people out doing things that are healthy and it interests them, and This is like, we don't have to tell people, hey, do this, it's healthy for you. I mean, you just get healthy as a byproduct from that. You just got to go out and be able to have some fun and you know, blow off some steam, and you know, you'll always feel better from that. So that's kind of what I think. And really, I think that also we really need to honor our youth. We need to honor them by giving them their voice. We need to hear what they have to say. You know, as adults, you know, always typically, we always think we know what's best for our kids, and to some degree, we know a lot of things that are good for them. But you know, they have their own lives and they have their own thoughts and their own feelings. And in these changing times, I think that we really need to honor them by letting them have their voice and to listen to them without judgment. When Carol Ott was talking to me from As It Happens, she asked me a question that went like, what's going on with those young people in the Yukon? Like, why are so many of them like dying? And I said, well, you know, that's a really good question, because to date, I don't really hear anybody talking about bringing them into the picture. Like, let's open the door to them, you know, like, let's hear what they got to say. Like, let's find out, like, you know, how they're feeling, you know, about their lives, about the world, and let's find out what they want, and not just try and give them what we think they need, right? Let's listen to them. When I was a kid, I had an adult tell me once, oh, what do you know? You're just a kid. I was just total tried to shut me right down. But I just stood back and I just looked at him. I didn't say anything, and I just walked away. But on that day, I made a vow to myself that when I got to be an adult, I wasn't going to be an adult who thought he knew everything, and I was going to listen. Now that I'm an adult, I'm not really sure I want to be an adult, because apparently adulting is really serious business, right? and we need to put some fun back into things, right? We need to, like, that's what kids bring to you. They bring you joy, they bring you fun, they bring you into the moment and the present, and that's a beautiful thing. And through the years that I've spent working with young people, that's what they've given to me. That's been it's been like the best thing. Yeah, and other than that, that's, you know, we just gotta forge on and try and, you know, work together and do things together, and realize that whether you're First Nations or whether you're European or you're Asian or you're African American, whatever, like, I mean, we're all beautiful. We all matter, and we're all in this together. Oh, I'm good.
Is there anything else you want to add, or you want me to ask, or you want to sort of put in here to wrap up? I mean, I could sit here and listen to you for a while, so I could have a host of questions, but I'm realizing that I think you said a lot. Is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah, well, you know, it's like, I have to say, it's hard to, my emotions are raw. But with the, you know, like, I'm really happy to see that, you know, once again, I want to say to Colin Dunn, thank you for being proactive and getting, you know, treatment going for our people. And, you know, and the treatment is one thing, you know, we want to get them there, but then there's the aftercare, because aftercare is huge. Like once they go to treatment, that, you know, gets them on the right track again, but bringing them back and putting them right back in the lion's den again is like, that's a tough thing, you know, because it's like, I really think that we need more outreach and more aftercare. I know there is an attempt at that, but we need it in a bigger way. I honestly would like to see a real, you know, for the northern area, I would like to see our own treatment center here. And we have the Colin Dunn Land-Based Center, which is great, and that could be part of it. But we also need like an aftercare center as well, where people can be monitored and they can be supported and can be mentored. And
I think we're still on.
are we still on? Okay.
Yeah. We just flashed off there. For a second.
Okay, all right.
But I think that point about aftercare,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Aftercare is huge, and you know, people just really need support, and it's ongoing. You know, mental health is something, you know, you look at somebody, you can't really tell what they're feeling or what they're thinking, and people are really good at hiding it, and they just don't want to talk about it. Like I said earlier, I respect people's right to privacy and to not to say anything, but like I say, that talking has really helped me, and I'll continue to speak, but more importantly, I like to listen too. Like, you know, I listen to what everyone else is saying, and I take it into serious consideration. And you know, when I do go out skiing or I go out on the land, I think about these things, and I'm undistracted, and you know, I pray about it, and you know, I think that we need to keep hope alive. You know, saying the Blue Feather is music festival. Blue Feather is a symbol of hope. That being said, every year we have a message. This last year was Dream On, which was basically, you know, keep your dream alive. You're never too old to dream a new dream. This year it's called Faith, Hope, and Love. And the message behind that is, like, you know, faith is basically believing, right? We believe in ourselves. We hope that things are going to get better and the world's going to be, you know, improve. And then love is kind of like the glue that holds us all together, right? So you know, we need to feel that love for ourselves. We need to be able to feel good about ourselves, and I think it radiates out from there. And we just need to take care of each other, and take care of ourselves, and just try and keep our chins up and keep marching forward. And I think collectively there's a lot we can do. And you know, there's a lot of people speaking here, and there's a lot of really great minds and a lot of like caring hearts. And I just like to say thank you to everybody that is speaking up, because it's the place to start. But after the talking is done, we need some action, because so many times I've heard the lip service paid here and there, and that's all good, but we need to take some, you know, positive action, and take some steps. They don't have to be huge steps. Just, you know, pathway up the mountain, you know, go straight up the mountain. Hey, we're at the bottom right now. We're at base camp right now. We're looking up, and we got to get up there. So we got to, you know, work our way up there. And there's, you know, if you look at it, there's constant people supporting the people that are doing the climbing, and you know, we need supplies. We need all kinds of things. There's a lot that people could do and they can contribute. And I think once you get thinking about it, like, you know, there are things that we can do on a daily basis, like just smile at somebody, say a kind word, check up on people. You know, those little things make a difference, you know, because we're all trying to, like, everyone has a story, and you take the time to listen to what people have to say, particularly people on the street, right? Like, you know, back in the day when I was touring in the music business, I'm a lighting technician designer, and I toured the country for 8 years, and I saw the similar scenario in every major city and town right across our country. And you know, rock and roll and music, it's kind of at a street level in a way, and you know, you're right in the midst of all of this stuff. There's, you know, there's the part people partying, and the drugs and the alcohol, and all of that. And I was there to work, but I witnessed a lot of things. But the one thing I did realize, and I met the kindest people who had nothing. They had a story, and they were where they were because of something that happened in their life, and then through alcohol and drugs, it brought them down to the point where they're on the street, but they're still human beings, and they still cared, and I never ever lost compassion for any of those people. And I'll always have the time of day for anybody, and you know, if they're hungry or some water or whatever, I'll always, you know, give them food and water and some kind words and encourage them, because, like, a saying that I really liked that my dad always told us was, by the grace of God, there go I. In other words, things could happen to you in your life that can change, and before you know it, you're there too, right? So hopefully not, but it's all just trying to be kind to each other, and let's try and figure some things out, and let's take some action. You know, I'm ready to go myself. I mean, I'm ready to go and every day till I die. Thank you.
And I just want to express my gratitude. Thank you very much. I sort of wrote down a couple words that you said over and over again. And I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but hope, youth voice, the land, spirituality, outreach, aftercare, smile, be non-judgmental, care about each other, have compassion, and action. I just want to thank you very much for your time today. And I know that everybody watching is appreciative as well.
Yeah, well, thanks. And, you know, one last thing was that, you know, it always boils down to money in the end, right? A lot of these things, they don't cost you any money to do these things, right? But, you know, with treatment, it was always told, yeah, you know, we want to cost money. We want to make sure they're ready to go. And I say, yeah, I understand that. I understand all about budgets and all about money. But I just would like to leave with like one question for everybody. It's like, what's the value of human life? Priceless. Let's leave that there. Priceless.
Thank you, Gary. We can't thank you enough for your time today. I know we have a large audience who wanted to come out today to support you and hear your story. So thank you so much for that time. We have a few minutes for everyone to take a moment, kind of regroup and meet us in our next session. And we will see you all again in a few minutes.